60% of people making over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. I know this is a shocking statistic to hear, but I know it is true because not too long ago, I was exactly one of them. If you are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and share this video with your friends or family members who might be secretly struggling. Because today, we are going to break down the exact psychological trap that keeps high earners completely broke and how you can escape it. For years, I believed the ultimate financial dream was hitting that magical six-figure salary. I thought once I saw $100,000 on my tax forms, all my financial stress would just vanish into thin air. And for a brief moment, it felt like it did. When I finally got that promotion, I did what society tells us successful people are supposed to do. I upgraded my living situation to a luxury high-rise downtown. I leased a sleek new car because I was a manager now, and I felt like I had to look the part. I started picking up the tab at expensive dinners, telling myself I had finally made it. On paper, I was the absolute picture of success. But behind closed doors, my reality was a complete nightmare. My credit cards were constantly nearing their limits. My savings account was essentially non-existent. And the end of every single month brought a suffocating wave of anxiety. I was making more money than I ever had in my entire life. Yet I felt poorer than when I was a broke college student eating instant noodles. That is when I realized that $100,000 a year is no longer the finish line. In fact, it has become the most dangerous financial trap in the modern world. To understand why this happens, we have to look at the brutal illusion of a six-figure income. The first wake-up call is the math itself, specifically the difference between your gross income and your net income. When you tell people you make $100,000, your brain immediately anchors to that massive number. You start standardizing your lifestyle and your spending habits based on $100,000. But the reality is a harsh slap in the face. After federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and a basic retirement contribution, your actual take-home pay is significantly less. Depending on where you live, whether it is California, New York, London, or Sydney, that $100,000 quickly shrinks to maybe $65,000 or $70,000 in actual cash. Then, you have to factor in the devastating inflation we have experienced over the last few years. The purchasing power of $100,000 today is roughly equivalent to what $60,000 was just a decade ago. Everything from groceries to rent to car insurance has skyrocketed, but your brain still tricked you into thinking you have top-tier spending power. This brings us to the fundamental difference between the truly wealthy and the middle class. When a middle-class person hits a high salary, their immediate thought is to figure out what they can buy with it. They view their income as a license to consume. They see it as a monthly allowance to finance a better, more comfortable lifestyle. When a truly wealthy person or someone with a wealth-building mindset gets $100,000, their immediate thought is entirely different. They ask themselves how much of this money can be used to buy assets. The poor and middle-class mind sees income as a tool for upgrading comfort, while the wealthy mind sees income as seeds to plant for absolute freedom. If you treat a high salary as a permission slip to spend, you will always be a high-paid servant to your lifestyle. And that is exactly how the trap is set. The very first psychological hurdle you encounter when you cross the six-figure mark is what I call the justification spree, or the deep-seated belief that you simply deserve it. Making $100,000 a year is rarely a walk in the park. It usually requires long hours, relentless emails, dealing with demanding bosses, and sacrificing a significant portion of your mental health. By the time Friday evening rolls around, your brain is utterly fried and screaming for a dopamine release. You feel completely justified in dropping $200 on a lavish dinner or booking a luxury weekend getaway on a whim. You tell yourself, I work 60 hours a week, I earn this money, and I deserve to enjoy the fruits of my labor. The problem is that your brain starts equating exhaustion with the right to spend recklessly. You begin to treat your high income as a compensation fund for your misery, rather than a tool to build your future. Every stressful day at the office becomes an excuse to swipe your credit card. You are essentially paying a heavy premium just to tolerate your own job, and before you know it, your emotional spending has completely wiped out your financial advantage. This leads directly into the next massive drain on your income, which is the hidden cost of actually holding that high-paying job. People often refer to this as the golden handcuffs. To maintain a salary of 100 grand or more, you likely have to live in or near a major economic hub, whether that is New York, Los Angeles, London, or Sydney. The cost of living in these areas is astronomical, but it goes far beyond just paying exorbitant rent or a massive mortgage. There is an unspoken social pressure that comes with a high-paying corporate role. You feel compelled to dress a certain way, upgrading your wardrobe to designer brands so you do not look out of place in the boardroom. You start attending expensive networking lunches and after-work drinks with colleagues. You might even convince yourself that as a manager or a senior specialist, you cannot be seen driving a 10-year-old beat-up sedan, so you go out and finance a brand new luxury vehicle. Your income has indeed gone up, but the baseline cost of simply showing up to your life has skyrocketed even faster. You are spending thousands of dollars a month just to look the part of someone who makes $100,000. If this reality is hitting a little too close to home right now, and you feel like you are seeing your own life play out on screen, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and share this video with a friend who is grinding away in the corporate world alongside you. We are building a community of people who are ready to break this cycle together. The absolute most insidious element of this entire system is the phenomenon of lifestyle creep, scientifically known as the hedonic treadmill. Human beings are incredibly adaptable creatures. When you were making $50,000 a year, you probably looked at $100,000 as an unimaginable level of wealth. You promised yourself that if you ever made that much, you would save half of it and be set for life. But the moment you actually secure that raise, something shifts in your psychology. You move out of your modest apartment with roommates into a luxury one-bedroom place. You stop shopping at discount grocery stores and exclusively buy organic produce at high-end markets. You upgrade your phone every single year. You adapt to your new level of luxury so quickly that within a few months, it no longer feels like luxury at all. It just feels like your new normal baseline. This is the critical difference between the truly wealthy and the middle class. When the poor or middle class experience an increase in income, they immediately elevate their lifestyle to match that new number. They absorb every extra dollar into their daily comfort. But when the truly wealthy experience an increase in income, they ruthlessly lock their lifestyle in place. They intentionally widen the gap between what they earn and what they spend. That gap is the only place where true wealth can be born. By allowing your lifestyle to creep up alongside your salary, you are systematically eliminating the very margin that could set you free. As your responsibilities grow and your free time shrinks, you also fall victim to the convenience bleed. High earners are notoriously time poor. Because your energy is entirely depleted by your demanding career, you start throwing money at everyday inconveniences just to survive the week. You are too tired to cook, so you order food delivery 3 or 4 nights a week, paying massive markups and service fees. A $30 meal turns into a $50 expense. You hire house cleaners. You pay for premium subscription services you barely have time to watch. And you use grocery delivery apps because you cannot fathom spending your Saturday morning in a supermarket aisle. It is rarely the big, catastrophic purchases that bankrupt the high-earning middle class. It is the death by 1,000 cuts. It is the slow, silent hemorrhage of $50 here and $20 there, all justified under the guise of buying back your time. But when you audit your bank statements at the end of the year, you realize you have spent $10,000 or $15,000 strictly on the premium of convenience, leaving you with absolutely nothing to show for your hard work. Then comes the illusion of modern status, where debt is weaponized as a tool to project success. We live in an era where social media constantly bombards us with the highlight reels of our peers. You see your college friends taking extravagant vacations to Europe, buying massive suburban homes, and posting pictures of their new cars. What you do not see is the crushing debt financing those pictures. fear of missing out drives the middle class to use debt as a status symbol. You take out a massive mortgage you can barely afford because renting feels like a failure. You max out credit cards to fund a lifestyle that matches your peers. You end up buying things you do not even really want with money you do not actually have to impress people you do not even particularly like. This is where the wealthy drastically diverge from the pack. The rich do use debt, but they use it as leverage to acquire income-producing assets like real estate or businesses. The middle class uses debt to acquire depreciating liabilities just to maintain a facade of wealth. When you use your future labor to pay for your past consumption, you are literally selling your future freedom to look successful today. The final nail in the coffin for the six-figure earner is the tragic reality of high-income financial illiteracy, specifically the absolute fallacy of the traditional savings account. It is a terrifying truth that you can be brilliant enough to become a doctor, a senior engineer, or a corporate executive, yet remain completely uneducated about how money actually works. High earners often believe that simply keeping their leftover cash in a checking or basic savings account is the responsible thing to do. They leave $30,000, $40,000, or $50,000 sitting idle in a bank, falsely believing they are building a safety net. In reality, they are letting inflation slowly burn their purchasing power to the ground. They do not understand the mechanics of index funds, the power of real estate, or the absolute magic of compound interest. They think saving money is the ultimate goal, completely unaware that investing is the only actual escape route. They trade their precious time for money, but they never put their money to work to buy back their time. They are playing a game of addition, while the wealthy are playing a game of multiplication. I want to pause here and ask you to be completely honest with yourself. Let me know in the comments below, which of these traps is draining your bank account the most right now? Is it the emotional spending, the lifestyle creep, or the reliance on convenience? Drop your answer in the comments, because acknowledging the trap is the very first step to dismantling it. The turning point for my own financial life, and the exact moment I finally started to escape this exhausting cycle, came on a random Tuesday evening. I was sitting in my expensive apartment, wearing a designer watch I had financed, eating a $40 delivery meal I barely tasted because I was staring at a credit card statement I could not pay off in full. The sheer absurdity of my situation hit me like a ton of bricks. I was working myself into an early grave to sustain a lifestyle that was fundamentally designed to keep me poor. That was the night I decided to stop playing a game that was rigged against me from the start. I realized that the true flex was not driving a luxury car or living in a penthouse, but having peace of mind. I had to fundamentally rewire my brain to understand that looking rich and actually being wealthy are often complete opposites. I began to embrace a concept that absolutely changed my trajectory, which is the practice of stealth wealth. I stopped caring entirely about the perceived status of my clothing, my car, or my zip code. I traded the illusion of success for the reality of financial independence. I started practicing loud budgeting, which meant being entirely unapologetic with my friends and colleagues about my financial boundaries. When I was invited to an overpriced dinner, I simply said no. I am focusing on my investment goals right now. It felt terrifying at first to step off the hedonic treadmill and admit I was no longer willing to keep up appearances. But the relief that followed was indescribable. For the first time in my adult life, the gap between what I earned and what I spent began to widen. I took all of that reclaimed money from canceled subscriptions, downgraded apartments, and sold off liabilities, and I aggressively poured it into assets. I stopped buying things that lost value the moment I touched them, and started buying pieces of businesses and real estate that paid me while I slept. I shifted my identity from a high-earning consumer to a disciplined investor. If you are watching this and feeling overwhelmed, I need you to understand something very important. You are not alone, and it is not entirely your fault. The modern financial system, the relentless marketing algorithms, and the societal pressures around us are perfectly engineered to extract every single dollar you make. They want you exhausted, they want you consuming, and they absolutely want you in debt. But the moment you recognize the trap, is the exact moment it loses its power over you. You have the ultimate authority to redefine what success looks like for your own life. You can choose to step off the treadmill today. You can choose to build invisible wealth rather than fake status. It will require sacrifice, and it will require you to temporarily look foolish to people who are secretly drowning in debt themselves. But the absolute freedom waiting for you on the other side is worth every single uncomfortable decision. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. If this video brought you value or shifted your perspective, please hit that subscribe button right now and join our growing community of wealth builders. Do not forget to like the video so the algorithm can push this message to someone else who desperately needs to hear it. If you are ready to take the next step and learn exactly how to start investing that gap we talked about, click on the video appearing on your screen right now, where I break down the exact beginner investment strategy I used to build my first $100,000 in net worth. I will see you over there.